Hi everybody, this is Maureen Wong for YourNextStamp.com. Today we're going to be making this really cute pop-up slider card. And it's called that because when you slide it, it pops up. And underneath you have a hidden message and image. And then you can still actually see the front image when the tab is popped up. And then of course you can push it back in and maneuver it down so that it's closed again. So let's get started. Okay, to start with, I've made a little guide for you, and I will have this posted on the Your Next Stamp blog. But basically, this is a 4" by 5¼ piece of cardstock that I've drawn my pattern on, and I've drawn lines 3/4 inch in from 3 edges. And then I drew dotted lines at 1½ inch, 1½ inch, and 1½ inch up from there. And I've gone ahead and drawn that template onto the back of my piece of pattern paper that I'm using as the front of my slider card, pop-up slider. And I'm using my Fiskars trimmer to cut on those cut lines. There are 3 cut lines and then 3 score lines. And if you don't have a Fiskars trimmer, which does a really great job with this, then of course you can just use a straight edge and a craft knife, and that will work just as well. So you're going to have this little flap kind of hanging out here once you finish doing your 3 cuts. And I'm going to take out my scoreboard and I'm going to score on those 3 score lines that I drew in. And then when you turn it over, you're going to do your folds, and it's going to be like a little accordion fold like that. And that is basically the front of your pop-up slider. Then you need a piece that's 3 inches by 4½ inches, and I went ahead and rounded the top corners on that piece. And you're going to need a piece that's 4 by 5¼ inches for that back piece. Now I'm using the Your Next Stamp circle die set, the smallest circle in the set, and I'm going to measure the middle of my front pattern paper piece and then place my circle die partway down, run that through my die cut machine so that it cuts a little opening right there. And now I'm going to stick on that extra little slider piece, the one with the rounded corners. And what you might want to do with that is put adhesive just on that little fold. But what you might want to do with that is actually, if you're going to be using a piece of pattern paper, glue a piece of cardstock to the back of that to make it extra heavy so that it'll have a little more strength when you're pushing and pulling that mechanism. And I'm just testing it there to make sure it works. And now I'm going to get an 1/8 inch hole punch and punch a hole in that little slider mechanism, the pull tab, and I'm going to get out some gold baker's twine and just loop that through that 1/8 inch hole, and that's going to be something for your recipient to pull on. And there I'm testing it again to make sure it goes up. And then now I am drawing a light pencil line around that opening so that I know where to put my image and sentiment on the inside. Okay, let me clean up and then we get back to stamping. So I've got the Sprinkles Happy Holidays stamp set and dies, and I'm going to be using a number of sentiments and images from this set. And first of all, I'm going to be stamping with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink the sentiment Happy Holidays on the very bottom of my drawn area. And then I'm going to take that sitting image of Sprinkles with the bunny slippers, it's so cute, and stamp that with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be coloring that with Copics. And then I'm going to want to set that aside to dry because the VersaFine is going to take a little bit to dry. And then I'm going to take the image of the sprinkles with the carrot ornament. Again, I'm going to stamp these with Memento because I'm going to be Copic coloring. And then finally I'm going to take the tree with the carrot ornaments on it and stamp that with Memento. And let me zoom in and get to coloring. So I actually didn't let my image dry enough. The sentiment is still a little bit wet, and so unfortunately I smudged a little bit of it on the side, but that's not going to make a big difference, and I'll show you that a little later. I'm using R29, R27, and R24 for Sprinkles Santa Hat. And then I'm coming in with a little bit of C3 for some shadowing. I'm going to use some R20 on the inside of the ears, the nose, the tongue, the bunny slipper ears, and Sprinkles' tummy. And same thing here, R20 on those same parts. Now I'm coming in with the C3 again for some shadowing. Then the R29 on the berries. Now I'm moving over to the tree and I'm using E27 on the trunk. Then this is G28, which is my darkest green for the bottom of the tree. And then I'm going to come in with G07 for my mid-tone on the tree. And then finally G14 as my lightest color. And I went back in with the G28 on the holly leaves on the bunny. And now for the carrots, I'm using YR04. Then for the star, I used Y15. And finally, I'm coming in with YG13 for the carrot tops. And now I'm going to get out the matching dies and place them down with a little bit of tape. And then I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. Okay, and here they are all cut out. And then of course I have my other colored image, and maybe you can see a little bit of that black smudging. I'm going to put adhesive on just 3 sides of that pattern paper panel because we want the pull tab to be able to raise up through that open edge on the top. And before I stick that down, I'm going to erase my pencil line. And you might see there's the tiny little black smudge that I got from my finger onto the Onyx black ink, and I'm just going to run my eraser over that and it goes away. So yay, all fixed. And now I'm going to stick down that pattern paper piece, and I can test my slider out and that works beautifully. So now I'm going to finish up with the rest of my card. And this portion is that same size piece of just plain white cardstock, and I'm going to stick that down, the pattern paper piece, to that backing, and I'm going to put a bunch of adhesive. Oh wait, I'm sorry, this is the card base. And I'm going to put a bunch of adhesive because this is an interactive card and I want to make sure that that doesn't come apart when the recipient is pulling that. And I'm going to show you here, you don't want to put anything on that bottom flap or the top section either. You want to keep everything in that middle section, otherwise your pop-up won't open and close properly. So I'm putting some foam tape on the back of my sprinkles and tree, and then I'm going to go ahead and mount those. And it's just easier to do it when it's slightly open like this, because then you can see exactly where everything needs to go and figure out where your adhesive is going and all of that. And so there almost is my finished card. You can put a sentiment or something up there on that top of that pull tab if you want. And I actually felt that something was lacking, so I went back in and stamped a sentiment on the bottom of that front piece. You're so adorably adorable, I just can't stand it. I just think that's so cute. And once again, here it is. You just pull up on that slider tab, and I'm pulling it a little crooked, which is why it wasn't going up nicely, but it actually does work really well. And then there's the colored images. And I hope you like this card, and we'll see you over at yournextstamp.com for these and many other fun products. Thank you very much for watching.